Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter has become a hilarious and sometimes terrifying comedy of errors. So how did the richest man in the world become the richest clown? Let's take a look at the crazy timeline of Elon Musk slowly acquiring the strangest social media company around. Throughout the first half of 2022, Musk started more heavily investing in Twitter. By early April, his stake was over 9.2%, making him the majority shareholder. He even joined the board on April 5th. Though by April 10th, he left the board behind, confusing everyone. Things got even stranger from there as he announced his bid to actually purchase the company at $43 billion, which was far more than it was worth. Twitter fought hard against this acquisition, authorizing a poison pill strategy to dilute the shares and make it even more expensive. Eventually, they reached a deal for $44 billion after Musk sold $8.5 billion worth of Tesla stock. Story over, right? Happy ending? Well, by May, he reversed this entire process by stating publicly that the acquisition was on hold. Then by July, he was ready to pull out of the deal completely due to the prevalence of fake accounts. Something that would prove to be hilariously ironic afterwards. Then Twitter came back with a suit that meant Elon could owe over $1 billion for trying to terminate the acquisition last minute. By October, he decided it would just be easier to go through with the deal, spending that $44 billion. Seeing how things have gone since then, honestly, he probably should have just taken the $1 billion hit to get out of there. While many thought for years that Elon Musk was some kind of idealized CEO of the future who would bring us into a Star Trek-style utopia, his time as boss of Twitter has shown that he is actually a bit more of a tyrant, and not even the smart kind of tyrant. He made headlines for all the wrong reasons by immediately laying off a huge number of employees, something like 50%. That included its CEO, a lot of top executives, and the dissolution of the entire board. This led to massive layoffs over a lack of notice, a huge public backlash, and hesitance from advertisers to continue to support the company. Then for the employees who actually stayed at Twitter, they were treated to one of the most openly hostile emails I have ever read. That's not just my opinion either, but one from the New York Times, which literally referred to it as, quote, the worst midnight email from the boss ever. He stated in this wild, unhinged email titled A Fork in the Road that Twitter 2.0 will be extremely hardcore. Engineering would now be the priority, and they are in for quite the ride. Everyone will be expected to work long hours at high intensity, and then anyone who isn't committing to this high performance expectation will be fired. If that wasn't enough, you also had to sign the pledge by 5 p.m. or you would be terminated. No surprise here, but over 1,200 employees have since left the company. Anyone who is familiar with similar strategies used by game companies such as Crunch knows that not only is the strategy cruel, it does not work. People are not actually robots, and expecting them to work constantly long hours at a high intensity means they will actually be more prone to exhaustion and more likely to make mistakes that slow things down. For proof, just look at the launches of Cyberpunk 2077 and Fallout 76, both brought to you by Crunch. Is this what you want Twitter to look like? I mean, it is pretty close right now. Elon's biggest strategy going into his Twitter regime was that the company needed to start bringing in more direct lines of income immediately. His big strategy for this was the infamous idea to make people pay a monthly subscription for their verified blue check. At first, his plan was to have this cost $20 a month. This immediately became controversial as the blue check had always been free. This even led to Musk getting into a direct argument with writer Stephen King over how much the check should cost. Seeing one of the most famous modern writers worth $600 million arguing with the richest man in the world worth $191 billion over a subscription that would net to $240 a year is just hilarious. This eventually led to him lowering the price to $7.99 a month. Thank you, Stephen King. Previously, this verification method was used to ensure that important figures, celebrities, and companies were in fact those tweeting and not someone just posing as them. Imagine how bad things would be if anyone could pay just like $4 to appear like they're important people saying truly ridiculous things. Okay, you see where this is going, right? There has been a flood of hilarious tweets from fake users who wanted to make headlines and succeeded. While most of these are too explicit to share, there's some we can. For instance, a fake LeBron James offered a last-minute trade. Even a fake Elon Musk said quite a few incendiary things about his businesses and the future of Twitter. Perhaps no tweet so easily makes this problem clear than a blue-check verified Mario from Nintendo of America flipping everyone the bird. While this was mostly just on-the-nose humor, it did actually cause some real-world issues. For instance, one big pharma company had to apologize after a fake verified account stated that, quote, all insulin is free now. This cost the company billions of dollars and a severe stock drop, something Twitter could potentially be viable for. That is definitely going to keep Twitter from becoming profitable. Elon Musk had a lot of problems with how Twitter ran from top to bottom. One thing he had a big issue with was the fact that quite a few Twitter employees were working from home. Musk is of the opinion that working from home makes people lazy and that it needed to end immediately. Of course, going into the office became a lot harder in mid-November when people were completely locked out. Officially, the story goes that Elon Musk wanted to keep all of his employees out of the office in fear that they might sabotage the site. The far more interesting rumored story is that during the great culling of Twitter engineers, he actually fired some essential workers who were in charge of the keycards in case there was some sort of issue, which there may have been. Essentially, this was that Elon Musk locked himself out of the office and had fired the person who could fix it. And then he covered it up with a fake story about fearing retribution from disgruntled employees. Now, was this rumor true or not? Well, probably not. That's because this rumor was started by a parody Twitter account, but it's actually not that far-fetched if you think about it. Considering the fact that these very same engineers have been working from home for quite a while and could easily have sabotaged the site from their couches, makes this rumor one at least a little bit worth considering. Now, most of the focus of the Twitter mayhem is on the American offices and how much of a mess that's become. But Twitter is a multinational company that has more than 25 offices all around the world. So have things been going better in other parts of the world? Nope, they sure haven't. In November of 2022, Elon Musk formally apologized on Twitter about the app's slow performance in many different countries. He stated that the app's sad performance was due to over 1,000 remote procedure calls, which reach out to other servers to wait for a response, just to reload the home timeline. One of the international employees who had worked for the company for over 6 years actually corrected him by stating that wasn't what was happening at all. Then he clearly and concisely described what the real problem was. He and the company's new boss then argued publicly for several hours, ending with Musk announcing via tweet that the employee was fired. This wasn't just an isolated incident either. Several employees were fired for discussing how little the boss knew about his own company. This whole thing just proves even the richest man in the world can make huge mistakes. Elon Musk has reportedly lost around $9 billion since buying Twitter. Will this acquisition dethrone him as the richest man in the world?